The stars shimmered like distant lanterns in the vast emptiness of space. Among them, the UES Defiant cut a sleek path, its engines glowing blue against the darkness. Captain James Reed stood on the bridge, his weathered face lit by the soft glow of control panels. "Status report, Mr. Parker," Reed said, his voice calm but firm. First Officer Parker looked up from his station. "All systems normal, Captain. We're approaching the edge of mapped space. Beyond that point, we're in uncharted territory." Reed nodded and walked to the large viewing window. At 52, he had spent more than half his life exploring the stars. The Defiant was Earth's pride, the most advanced exploration vessel humans had ever built. Its mission was simple: push further, learn more, find what lay beyond. "Send our position to command," Reed ordered. "Let them know we're proceeding as planned." On Earth, Lieutenant Commander Kate Wilson limped down the hallway of Space Fleet headquarters. Her leg, still healing from a crash during training, had kept her from joining this mission. She should have been on the Defiant, at Reed's side as his second-in-command. Instead, she was stuck reading reports and answering to Admiral Thomas Gray. "You wanted to see me, sir." Kate entered Gray's office and saluted. Admiral Gray looked up from his desk, his face grim. "Wilson, we've lost contact with the Defiant." Kate felt her heart stop. "When?" "4 hours ago. They sent their position report, then nothing. No distress call, no sign of trouble. They can't just vanish, sir," Kate said, her mind racing. "The Defiant has triple backup systems for communications." Gray nodded. "I know. We've sent 2 fast scout ships to their last known position. But—" he hesitated. "But what?" "The Galactic Council is saying we shouldn't have sent a ship that far out to begin with. They're calling it human recklessness." Kate felt anger rise in her chest. The Galactic Council, a group of 5 advanced alien species, had reluctantly welcomed humans into their space community 30 years ago. But they still treated humans like children who needed watching. "The Council doesn't control where we can explore," Kate said. "No, but they control most of the technology we use," Gray reminded her. "And they're already suggesting that Captain Reed must have made a mistake." Kate shook her head. "James Reed doesn't make mistakes, sir. Not with his ship, not with his crew." 3 days later, the scout ships returned with no answers. The Defiant's last known position showed nothing. No debris, no energy signatures, no signs of battle or accident. It was as if the ship and its 120 crew members had simply stopped existing. Kate stood in the observation room with Admiral Gray as they reviewed the findings. On the large screen, representatives from the Galactic Council watched with expressions that seemed more annoyed than concerned. "This is unfortunate," said Council Leader Dorn, his blue skin wrinkling around his large eyes. "But not unexpected. Human ships are still primitive by our standards. The Defiant was built using Council-approved technology," Gray countered. "Approved, yes, but operated by humans," another Council member added. "No offense, Admiral, but your species tends to rush into things." Kate stepped forward. "Council members, Captain Reed had 30 years of experience. Whatever happened to the Defiant wasn't due to human error." Leader Dorn sighed. "Lieutenant Commander Wilson, we understand your loyalty to your captain. But the facts are clear. Your ship ventured too far from established routes. Perhaps it encountered a natural phenomenon your sensors couldn't detect. Perhaps the engines failed. We may never know." "We need to organize a proper search," Kate insisted. "With what resources?" Dorn asked. "The area is vast, and we cannot spare our ships for what will likely be a fruitless effort." After the call ended, Kate turned to Admiral Gray. "They don't want to help us, sir." Gray nodded, his face tired. "No, they don't. But I'm authorizing a search anyway. Limited resources, but we'll do what we can." Weeks turned into months. The search found nothing. Earth's government, pressured by the Council, began to talk about a memorial service for the Defiant's crew. Kate refused to attend planning meetings. Instead, she spent her time in the data center, reviewing every piece of information about the Defiant's last journey. Her leg had healed, but she hardly noticed. Her life had become a single mission: find the truth. 6 months after the disappearance, Kate was called to Admiral Gray's office again. "They're calling off the search," Gray said without preamble. "Official announcement tomorrow. The Defiant and her crew will be declared lost in the line of duty." Kate felt cold. "We can't give up, sir." "It's not my decision, Wilson. Orders from above. The Council has made it clear they consider this matter closed." Kate stood straight. "Permission to speak freely, sir." At Gray's nod, she continued, "Something isn't right. The Council blocked our access to their deep space monitoring data. They restricted our search area. It's almost like they don't want us to find the Defiant." Gray looked troubled. "That's a serious accusation, Commander." "I know, sir, but why else would they?" Gray's computer beeped. He checked the message and frowned. "The Council is sending a representative tomorrow to help us accept our loss, they say." Kate was about to respond when a junior officer burst into the room without knocking. "Sir, we've detected something." The young man was out of breath. "A signal, sir, just for a few seconds. From beyond the edge of mapped space." Kate felt her heart race. "From the Defiant?" "We can't be sure," the officer said. "It was too brief, but the frequency matches a standard Earth emergency beacon." Admiral Gray stood. "Where did it come from?" "A region known as the Void, sir. It's an area the Council has marked as dangerous due to unpredictable cosmic storms." Kate and Gray exchanged looks. The Void was nowhere near the Defiant's last known position. "I want all data on that signal," Gray ordered. "And don't report this to the Council yet. Not until we know more." As the officer hurried out, Kate felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. "Sir," she said quietly, "if that's the Defiant, if they're alive out there." Gray's face was grim but determined. "Then someone lied to us about what happened, and I want to know why." Outside the window, stars continued their cold, distant watch over Earth. Somewhere among them, the fate of the Defiant and her crew remained a mystery that was only beginning to unravel. 3 years passed. The Defiant became a memory, a story told to new Space Fleet cadets as a warning about the dangers of deep space. Most people moved on. Kate Wilson did not. Now Commander Wilson, she had fought to stay in Space Fleet despite pressure to take a teaching position. Admiral Gray, one of the few who still believed in her, had given her command of a small border patrol vessel, the UES Guardian. It wasn't exploration, but at least she was in space, closer to where her friend and mentor had vanished. Kate stood on the bridge of the Guardian, watching her crew work. They were young and eager, but they respected her experience. They also knew not to mention the Defiant around her. "Commander," called her sensor officer, a young man named Marcus. "I'm picking up strange energy readings at the edge of our patrol zone." Kate moved to his station. "Show me." On the screen, a pattern of energy spikes appeared, unlike anything in their database. "It started about 10 minutes ago," Marcus explained. "It doesn't match any known ship signature." Kate felt a chill. Something about the pattern seemed almost familiar. "Send this to Fleet Command. Request instructions." Before Marcus could comply, the ship's alarms blared. "Massive object emerging from faster-than-light travel," shouted the tactical officer. It's huge." On the main view screen, space seemed to bend and twist. Then a ship appeared, a massive vessel that dwarfed the Guardian. Its hull was dark, covered with strange metal plates and weapons. But beneath the modifications, Kate recognized the familiar lines of its structure. "That's impossible," she whispered. It was the Defiant, but not as it had left Earth. This ship was at least 3 times larger, with visible additions grafted onto its original frame. Its smooth hull was now covered with armor plates of an unknown metal. Weapon ports dotted its surface. "Open a channel," Kate ordered. her voice steady despite her racing heart. "No response, Commander," the communications officer reported. "Keep trying. All frequencies, all codes, including old Space Fleet emergency channels." The massive ship hung silently in space, making no move toward them. Then, without warning, it began to move, not toward the Guardian, but past it, accelerating toward the inner systems. "They're heading toward Council space," Kate realized. "Follow them, but maintain safe distance." As the Guardian changed course to follow, emergency calls began flooding their communication system. Council outposts along the border were under attack. The reports described precision strikes from an unidentified vessel that appeared from nowhere, destroyed key defense systems, and vanished again. "It's them," Kate said quietly. "It's the Defiant." Her second-in-command looked concerned. "Commander, if that's true, then Captain Reed has gone rogue. These are acts of war." Kate shook her head. "We don't know what happened to them out there. We need to understand before we judge." The Guardian's communications officer interrupted. "Commander, we're receiving a transmission from the Defiant." The main screen flickered and showed the bridge of the Defiant. At first, Kate didn't recognize the man in the captain's chair. His face was thinner, with a long scar running down one cheek. His hair had gone completely gray. But the eyes, they were the same eyes she remembered. "Captain Reed," she said. James Reed looked at her without smiling. "Kate, you made commander. Good. James, what happened? Where have you been? What are you doing?" Reed's face remained hard. "We have returned, not as explorers, but as survivors. And we bring warnings." Behind him, Kate could see the Defiant's bridge was larger, with strange technology integrated into familiar controls. The crew members visible in the background were thin and serious, with the same haunted look as their captain. "The Council betrayed us," Reed continued. "They knew what was out there. They sent us to die." "What are you talking about?" Kate asked. "The Council said. The Council lied." Reed's voice rose with sudden anger. "They'd been lying for centuries. We weren't lost by accident. We were redirected." Admiral Gray's face appeared on a second screen. He had been patched into the conversation from Earth. "Captain Reed, you need to stand down and explain yourself. You've attacked Council facilities." "Only military targets, Admiral," Reed replied calmly. "Only the ones that deserved it." "Deserved it how?" Gray demanded. 3 years ago, the Defiant's navigation systems were remotely altered by Council agents. We were deliberately sent into a region of space known as the Void. Kate felt cold. "The same place where we detected that signal 6 months after you disappeared." Reed nodded. "The Void isn't dangerous because of cosmic storms. It's dangerous because it's controlled by a species called the Harvesters, a species the Council has known about for centuries." On the screen, Reed pressed a button. Data began streaming to both the Guardian and Earth Command. "The Council has a deal with the Harvesters," Reed continued. "They provide sacrifices, ships from lesser species like us, and, in exchange, the Harvesters stay in their territory." Gray looked stunned. That's monstrous. "You have proof." "We have everything, Admiral. We survived. We escaped. We learned their secrets." Reed's eyes were cold. "And now we've come back to stop them both." "The Harvesters are coming," Reed continued. "They've always planned to invade eventually. The Council's sacrifices just bought them time. My crew and I destroyed one of their high ships, and now they're accelerating their plans." Kate stared at the changed man on the screen. "James, what happened to you out there?" For a moment, Reed's hard expression softened. "We learned who our real enemies are, Kate, and we learned how to fight them." The transmission suddenly cut off as alarms sounded on the Guardian's bridge. "Multiple ships entering the system," Marcus called out. "Council warships heading straight for the Defiant." On the screen, they watched as the massive, modified Defiant turned to face the incoming Council fleet. Weapons ports opened along its hull. All council vessels, stand down. Reed's voice came through an open channel. We don't want to destroy you, but we will if we must. The lead council ship fired, a warning shot that passed close to the Defiant's bow. In response, the Defiant fired a single shot. The council ship's shields flared and failed instantly. Your weapons cannot harm us, Reed stated flatly. We have technology you've never seen. Technology we took from the harvesters. The council ships hesitated, then slowly backed away. From Earth Command, Admiral Gray's voice was grim. Captain Reed, I need you to come to Earth. We need to talk. Yes. Reed agreed. We do. Because the war has already begun, Admiral, and humanity needs to choose a side. As the massive ship changed course for Earth, Kate Wilson stood silently on her bridge. The Defiant had returned, but with a terrible purpose that would change the galaxy forever. The Defiant hung in Earth orbit like a dark promise. For 3 days, Captain Reed and his senior officers had been in closed meetings with Earth's leaders and military commanders. The rest of the crew remained aboard, refusing all visitors except medical personnel. Commander Kate Wilson waited outside the main conference room at Space Fleet headquarters. When the doors finally opened, tired officials filed out. Admiral Gray motioned for her to enter. Inside, Captain Reed stood by a large window, looking down at Earth. He seemed older than his years, his shoulders bearing an invisible weight. James, Kate said quietly. He turned, a ghost of a smile crossing his face. Kate, I'm glad you're here. How did you survive? She asked, the question that had burned in her mind for 3 years. Reed gestured to the conference table, where a holographic display showed the void region. When we realized our navigation had been tampered with, it was too late. We were pulled into the void by some kind of energy net, harvester technology. They capture ships that way. The hologram changed to show an enormous structure, part ship, part living organism. A harvester high ship, Reed explained. They take captured vessels and process them. The ships for materials, the crews for. He paused. For food and labor. Kate felt sick. But you escaped. Not at first. For 6 months, we were prisoners. They separated us, forced us to work. The harvesters aren't like us. They're insect-like, with a hive mind. They see other species as resources, nothing more. Reed touched the display, showing the modified Defiant. We learned their language, studied their technology when they weren't watching. Turns out, they had captured ships from dozens of species over centuries. We weren't the first to be betrayed by the Council. How did you get away? Slowly, carefully. We made contact with other prisoners, survivors from older captures. Together, we planned. When the chance came, we took over a section of the high ship. Then we found our ship, or what was left of it. Reed's eyes hardened. We rebuilt the Defiant with harvester technology, piece by piece. It took nearly 2 years. We fought our way out, destroying one of their smaller high ships in the process. And then we came back to warn Earth. The door opened and Admiral Gray entered with a tall, blue-skinned alien, a council representative named Ambassador Vex. Captain Reed, Vex said, his large eyes blinking slowly. I wish to speak privately. Reed's face showed no emotion. Anything you say to me can be said in front of Commander Wilson and Admiral Gray. Vex hesitated, then nodded. Very well. The Council wishes to apologize for your unfortunate experience. Unfortunate experience. Reed's voice was dangerously quiet. You sacrificed my ship and crew. Not I personally, Vex said quickly. But yes, certain council members have made arrangements with the harvesters for many generations. You must understand, the harvesters are a terrible threat. This arrangement kept billions of council citizens safe by sacrificing others, Gray said, disgust clear in his tone. Vex spread his 4-fingered hands. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. The Council protected its primary species. And now, Kate asked. Captain Reed says the Harvesters are planning a full invasion. Yes, Vex admitted. Your escape and destruction of one of their ships has accelerated their timeline. The Council is preparing defenses. Reed laughed bitterly. Your defenses won't work. We've seen their technology, their numbers. The Council has been feeding a predator, making it stronger. Now it's coming to devour everyone. What do you suggest? Vex asked. First, the Council admits what it did to every species, not just humans. No more secrets. Second, we share the technology we brought back from the void. Third, we prepare, together. Vex's skin paled. The Council will never admit. Then the Council will fall, Reed interrupted, and everyone with it. The next day, news broke across Earth and human colonies. The Defiant crew's story spread like wildfire. Other Council species demanded answers. The Galactic Council called an emergency meeting and attempted to arrest Captain Reed for spreading dangerous misinformation. The arrest attempt failed when 3 Council warships were disabled by the Defiant's advanced weapons without a single casualty. The message was clear. The humans could not be silenced. Ambassador Vex secretly met with Admiral Gray again. The Council is divided, Vex admitted. Some want to continue denying everything. Others want to negotiate. A few even suggest destroying Earth to contain your knowledge. They can try, Gray said coldly. I am here unofficially, Vex continued. Some of us believe Captain Reed. We want to help. Why? Kate asked suspiciously. Because I have seen the evidence, Vex replied. And because my homeworld is not a primary Council world. If sacrifices continue, my people could be next. Over the next 2 weeks, a resistance formed. Earth, joined by 7 other minor species, created an alliance. Captain Reed began sharing Harvester technology with scientists from all allied worlds. On the Defiant, work continued day and night. The ship was becoming a teaching center, with engineers from allied species learning about Harvester weaknesses. Kate found Reed in his quarters, studying star charts. You should rest, she said. Reed shook his head. No time. Our long-range scouts detected Harvester advanced ships at the edge of Council space. They're coming faster than I expected. James, Kate said gently. Even you need sleep. He looked up, his eyes haunted. Every time I close my eyes, I see the crew members we couldn't save, the ones the Harvesters took. Kate placed her hand on his shoulder. We'll make it right. A sudden alarm interrupted them. Reed's communication panel lit up. Captain, a voice called urgently. Council warships are approaching Earth. They're led by High Commander Trell himself. Reed stood quickly. Trell is one of the Council members who knew about the arrangement with the Harvesters. He's coming to silence us. As they hurried to the bridge, Admiral Gray's face appeared on a screen. Reed, we just received word. 3 outer colonies have gone dark. No communication, no distress calls. It's starting, Reed said grimly. The Harvester invasion. On the bridge, Reed took command. His crew, the survivors who had been through hell with him, moved with practiced efficiency. The Council fleet or the colonies? Kate asked. Which do we deal with first? Reed's face showed the weight of command. We can't fight both the Council and the Harvesters. We need allies, even reluctant ones. He opened a channel to the approaching Council fleet. High Commander Trell, while you're trying to cover up your crimes, the Harvesters have already begun their attack. 3 colonies are gone. Trell's reptilian face appeared on screen. More of your lies, human. Check your long-range sensors, Reed suggested calmly. The colonies at Proxima, Vega, and Ta Ceti, all gone. The Harvesters left no survivors when they attacked your shipyards last month. They'll leave none now. Trell's eyes widened as reports came in confirming Reed's words. Now you have a choice, Reed continued. Continue your attack on Earth and ensure that none of us survive what's coming, or join us and maybe, just maybe, we all have a chance. The bridge fell silent, waiting. The future of humanity, perhaps all species, hung in the balance. High Commander Trell's face on the screen showed conflict. His scaled skin darkened with emotion as reports of the destroyed colonies continued to come in. "This changes nothing," Trell said finally. "The Council still demands your surrender." Captain Reed stood firm on the Defiance Bridge. "You're making a mistake, Commander. We don't have time for this." "Captain," Kate whispered urgently, "more reports coming in. 5 more colonies gone dark, 2 Council worlds among them." Reed nodded grimly. "Trell, check your updates. The Harvesters have hit Council planets now. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about survival." The communication suddenly cut off. The Council fleet remained in position, weapons ready but not firing. "They're arguing among themselves," Reed said. "Good. We need time." He turned to his crew. "Begin Protocol Wrath." Throughout the Defiant, crew members moved with purpose. In the ship's new sections, built with Harvester technology, engineers activated systems that hummed with strange energy. Reed turned to Kate. "Commander Wilson, you're taking command of the Guardian. I need you to lead a special mission." "I've been trying to get back to my ship," Kate replied. "But Earth Command wanted me here for the negotiations." "There's no more time for talk," Reed said, handing her a data device. "This contains everything we know about Harvester weak points. Your ship has been fitted with modified weapons based on our designs." Kate took the device. "What's the mission?" "We detected Harvester scout ships, cloaked, nearly invisible to standard sensors. But we know how to find them." Reed brought up a star map showing red dots throughout Earth's solar system. "They're already here, watching, gathering data. Your job is to eliminate them before they can report back." Kate studied the map. "There are dozens of them, and you'll have dozens of ships. Every vessel we've been able to modify is joining your task force." As Kate prepared to return to the Guardian, Admiral Gray arrived on the bridge. His uniform was wrinkled, his face tired from endless emergency meetings. "The Council fleet is standing down," Gray reported. "Trell is returning to Council space to defend their core worlds." "They're abandoning us," Reed said flatly. "Not entirely. Ambassador Vex and representatives from 5 other species are staying to help. The Council is fracturing over this crisis." Reed nodded. "It's a start. What about Earth's defenses? Every ship we have is being armed with your modified weapons. The ground-based defense grid is being upgraded too, but it will take time." "Time is what we don't have," Reed said, checking the latest reports. "The Harvester's main fleet will reach our system in less than a week." Commander Kate Wilson stood on the Guardian's bridge, leading a fleet of 40 ships spread across the solar system. The new sensors Reed's team had installed showed the cloaked Harvester scouts clearly. Small, insect-like vessels that had slipped past all standard defenses. "Target locked, Commander," her weapons officer reported. "Fire," Kate ordered. The Guardian's weapons, modified with Harvester technology, lanced out and struck the invisible ship. The scout briefly became visible as its systems failed, then exploded in a flash of green energy. "One down," Kate said. "Many more to go." Similar scenes played out across the solar system as Earth's ships hunted the infiltrators. Some scouts escaped, jumping away faster than they could be caught. Each one that got away meant the Harvesters would have more information about Earth's defenses. On the Defiant, Captain Reed coordinated the broader defense plan. Ships from allied species arrived hourly, joining the growing fleet. Scientists and engineers worked frantically to apply Harvester technology to more vessels. Reed met with Admiral Gray and Ambassador Vex in the Defiance strategy room. "This is our plan," Reed explained, showing a complex battle formation. "We can't match the Harvesters for numbers, but we know their tactics. They attack in waves, overwhelming defenses with sheer force." "How did you learn so much about them?" Vex asked. Reed's eyes darkened. Many of my crew were forced to work directly with Harvester commanders. They watched, they listened, they remembered. Some died getting this information to us. Gray studied the battle plan. You're positioning our strongest ships at Alpha Centauri, not Earth. Why? Because that's where they'll strike hardest, Reed explained. It's the gateway to both Earth and the Council core worlds. If Alpha Centauri falls, both our civilizations are cut off from each other. The Council may not come to our aid, Vex admitted. Many still believe they can negotiate with the Harvesters. There is no negotiating with them, Reed said firmly. We tried. My communications officer spent months learning their language. They see other species as resources, nothing more. A message interrupted their meeting. Kate's face appeared on a screen. Captain, we've eliminated 28 scout ships, but at least 15 escaped. And we've discovered something worse. Her expression was grim. The Harvesters have a planet-killer weapon. We found evidence in one scout's data core before it self-destructed. Reed's face showed no surprise. We suspected as much. During our escape, we saw them testing such a weapon. It creates a chain reaction in a planet's core, causing it to collapse. Vex gasped. By the stars, if they use that on a primary world, then millions die instantly, billions more as the planet breaks apart. Reed finished. Now do you understand why the Council's policy of appeasement was always doomed to fail? The Harvesters won't stop until they've consumed everything. 3 days later, the first wave of the Harvester fleet arrived at the edge of the solar system. Massive high ships, each carrying thousands of smaller attack craft, moved toward the waiting defense fleet. Kate's ship, the Guardian, had joined the main fleet after hunting down the last of the scouts. She watched from her bridge as the enormous enemy vessels approached. They're so big, her first officer whispered. Size isn't everything, Kate replied, though she felt the same awe and fear. Remember your training. Their ships are powerful, but slow to maneuver. The first shots were fired by the Harvesters, green energy beams that cut through space toward the defense fleet. Earth ships scattered according to Reed's battle plan, allowing the beams to pass harmlessly. Return fire, Reed commanded from the Defiant, which led the center formation. Hundreds of modified weapons fired simultaneously. The Harvester shields held against most, but some shots penetrated, causing visible damage to the lead high ship. It's working, Gray exclaimed from Earth Command. Reed's expression remained tense. That was only their first wave. They're testing our defenses. As if confirming his words, thousands of smaller ships launched from the high vessels, swarming toward the defenders like angry insects. All ships, execute pattern wrath, Reed ordered calmly. The human and allied fleet broke into smaller, precise formations, a tactic Reed had learned during his captivity. The Harvester swarm, expecting their targets to clump together defensively, found themselves attacking empty space as Earth ships slipped between their formations. They fight like they think, Reed had explained during training. As a hive mind, they expect unified, predictable responses. We'll fight as individuals within a plan. For hours, the battle raged across the solar system. Ships were lost on both sides, but the defense was holding. Barely. Then the largest high ship moved forward, powering up a massive weapon at its center. That's it, Reed said quietly. The planet killer. Target? Gray asked anxiously. Reed checked his instruments. Not Earth. They're aiming for Mars. They want to demonstrate their power, make us surrender. Can we stop it? Kate asked from the Guardian. Reed's face showed grim determination. We're about to find out. The massive Harvester high ship's center began to glow with sickly green energy. Its planet-killer weapon powered up, aimed at Mars where millions of humans had settled over the past decades. All ships, focus fire on the main weapon port, Captain Reed ordered, his voice steady despite the stakes. The Defiant led the charge, its engines pushing to maximum as it raced toward the enormous enemy vessel. Behind it, every ship that could still fight followed, their weapons concentrated on a single point. On the Guardian, Commander Kate Wilson watched the Defiant charge ahead. "He's getting too close," she said to herself, then opened a channel. "James, pull back. The energy readings are off the charts." "No time," came Reed's terse reply. "Keep your formation, Commander." Admiral Gray's voice broke in from Earth Command. "Reed, what are you doing? The Defiant can't withstand that kind of energy at close range." "Trust me," Reed said. "I know these ships better than anyone. There's a weakness in their main weapon, but we have to hit it at exactly the right moment." The Defiant closed the distance rapidly. The Harvester ship's weapon grew brighter, now just seconds from firing. "All ships, final approach," Reed commanded. "On my mark. Fire." Every ship in the fleet released its full weapons payload simultaneously. The combined force struck the Harvester weapon just as it prepared to release its energy. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the green glow faltered, turned inward, and exploded back into the Hive ship. A massive chain reaction tore through the vessel, ripping it apart from the inside. The explosion was blinding. When it cleared, the great ship was breaking apart, but the Defiant was nowhere to be seen. "Captain Reed," Kate called out. "Defiant, respond." Nothing but static answered. "All ships, search the debris field," Gray ordered, his voice tight. "Find the Defiant." As the fleet searched, the remaining Harvester ships pulled back, regrouping after the loss of their command vessel. It bought Earth precious time they desperately needed. 3 hours later, a weak signal was detected. The Guardian was the closest ship and raced to investigate. They found the Defiant severely damaged but intact, drifting among the debris of the destroyed Harvester ship. Kate led a rescue team aboard. The Defiant's corridors were dark, emergency lights providing the only illumination. Many crew members were injured but alive. On the bridge, Kate found Captain Reed slumped in his command chair. Blood ran from a gash on his forehead, but he was conscious. "Did it work?" he asked weakly. "Yes," Kate said, kneeling beside him. "You did it. Mars is safe." Reed nodded slightly, then winced in pain. "Good, but this isn't over. The Harvesters will regroup. We've only destroyed one of their command ships. Right now, you need medical attention," Kate insisted. As medical teams worked to stabilize the injured, Reed called Kate and Admiral Gray to his private quarters. Despite his injuries, his mind remained focused on the bigger threat. "The Harvester fleet is still out there," Reed said, studying reports on a small screen. "They're regrouping at the edge of the system. We have maybe 2 days before they attack again." "We can't survive another assault like that," Gray said grimly. "We lost 30% of our fleet." Reed nodded. "That's why we need to strike at their heart now, while they're wounded. I've learned something critical about the Harvesters during our captivity." He brought up an image of a strange, organic-looking structure. "This is their hive core. Each command ship contains one. It's a biological computer that connects to the Harvester hive mind. Destroy it, and the entire hive structure falls apart." "How do we reach it?" Kate asked. "It must be heavily protected." "It is," Reed confirmed, "from the outside. But if a small team could get aboard their main command ship..." He let the implication hang in the air. Gray shook his head. "That's suicide." "Perhaps," Reed admitted, "but it's our only chance to end this." 2 days later, a small, modified shuttle approached the main Harvester command ship. Inside were Captain Reed, Commander Wilson, Ambassador Vex, and a team of specialists from different allied species. Each brought unique skills needed for the mission. "Their sensors won't detect us," Reed explained as they approached. "This shuttle has been modified with the same cloaking technology they use." The shuttle docked with a massive enemy vessel, attaching to a maintenance port Reed had learned about during his captivity. The team moved through dark, organic-looking corridors, avoiding Harvester patrols. "The hive core should be 3 levels down," Reed said quietly. As they descended deeper into the ship, Kate noticed Reed checking a small device on his wrist. "What is that?" she whispered. A countdown, he replied simply. They reached a massive chamber where a glowing, pulsing structure filled the center, the hive core. Around it, harvester guards moved in synchronized patterns. Now comes the hard part, Reed said. The team split up according to plan. Ambassador Vex and his group created a distraction in another section of the ship. As alarms blared, most of the guards left to investigate. Reed, Kate, and the remaining team members approached the core. A specialist began attaching devices to specific points on the organic structure. Charges set, the specialist reported. Good, Reed said. Now we... A shriek interrupted him as harvester reinforcements poured into the chamber. The insect-like creatures moved with frightening speed, their mandibles clicking in anger. Cover me, Reed shouted, moving toward the core with a final device. The team fought desperately, their modified weapons effective against the harvesters, but overwhelmed by numbers. Kate shot two creatures as they lunged toward Reed. Reed reached the central node of the core and attached the final device. As he turned back, a harvester warrior appeared behind him. Before Kate could shout a warning, the creature's claw-like limb pierced through Reed's chest. James, Kate screamed, firing repeatedly until the creature fell. She ran to Reed, who had collapsed beside the core. Blood spread across his uniform, but his hand still moved, activating the device. Get everyone out, he gasped. 30 seconds. Not without you, Kate insisted, trying to help him up. Reed shook his head. Too late for me. He pressed something into her hand. A small data chip. Everything we learned. It's all there. The future. The remaining team members fought their way to Kate's position. Together, they dragged Reed toward the exit as more harvesters closed in. They barely reached the shuttle. As they disengaged from the harvester ship, Reed's breathing grew ragged. Kate, he whispered, we came back with wrath. But, save your strength, she urged as the shuttle raced away. Reed's eyes were clear despite his fading strength. We came back with wrath, but leave with hope. Promise me, don't let them use this technology for more war. Build something better. Kate nodded, tears in her eyes. I promise. Behind them, the harvester command ship erupted in a massive explosion as the hive core detonated. Throughout the system, the harvester fleet fell into disarray. Without the central hive mind to coordinate them, they became disorganized, easy targets for the Earth and Allied fleets. Captain James Reed died as the shuttle returned to the waiting fleet. His last sight was the beginning of the harvester's defeat, the victory he had sacrificed everything to achieve. 1 year later, Commander Kate Wilson, now Captain Wilson, stood on the observation deck of Earth's new defense station. Beside her, Ambassador Vex and representatives from dozens of species, including the reformed Galactic Council, gathered for the unveiling of a memorial. At the center stood the restored hull section of the Defiant, mounted as a monument. A plaque read, "To remember those who returned with wrath, but left us hope. The new exploration ship launches tomorrow," Vex commented, "the first built with shared technology from all our worlds." Kate nodded. "And I'll be commanding her." "What will you name her?" Vex asked. Kate smiled slightly. "The Redemption." Reed would have liked that. He always said true strength wasn't in destruction, but in what we choose to build after. As the gathering moved inside, Kate lingered a moment longer, looking up at the stars. Somewhere out there, new worlds waited to be discovered. This time, they would go prepared but not seeking vengeance, exactly as James Reed had wanted. The lost ship had returned with wrath, but its legacy would be peace.